Greetings. Thank you for taking your time out when we welcome you into another Elevate and Inspire with yours truly, Dr. Arlen K. Parham. Man, once again, welcome back. And so we're dealing with leadership talk today on our podcast, inspired by Malcolm Gladwell, the author of Outliers. And so mild, powerful. And after listening to some interviews on Malcolm Gladwell, we find out that this 10,000 hour rule, it was a little bit taking out of its true meaning in which the author intended. But there are some relevant steps in here that we can utilize on building ourselves, building teams, helping people around us to get to that next level. So, this 10,000 hour rule, the rule of mastery, the truth about it, what separates the good from the extraordinary? It isn't just talent. Maybe it's some time and practice that's put in there, some deliberate, intentional spending time operating at your craft, letting your gift perfect through practice. And sure, nobody can argue. Some people are gifted and genetically inclined with certain potentials, with certain abilities through their birth to be able to do many things. But I look at it like this. I may run into a person who has the ability to remember almost like a photographic memory and make an A on the test. But also given that same information through time, through study habits, through key cards, through writing, a person can also make A on the same test that the one with the photographic memory was able to make. One is gifted in an area that they can take a snapshot of the picture and remember it, while the other putting that time in, putting the effort in, putting the blood and sweat and tears in, that 10,000 hour rule in order to be able to make that A on that test. So A is a A, no matter how you arrive at it. Whether you gifted to just to walk into the room and take it, or whether you put that practice in, that time in, that diligence in, that stick with itness, that stick to itness in order to accomplish the goal that you're trying to reach. So talent has its place, gifting has its place, but we cannot ignore that you have to be willing to put the work in. That if you put that work in, you can become a success. The goal is learning your lane, understanding what you're good at, and spending that time pushing and spending that time and effort and getting better, and which is an everyday experience. Mastery requires massive practice. And so one of the things that we get out of the book of the outliers and we think about the 10,000 rule. So mastery requires massive practice. True expertise in any field is not just about innate talent. It's achieved through approximately 10,000 hours of dedicated, deliberate practice. Whether you agree with the 10,000 hours or not, we can agree that whatever the time in that you need to put in to get better, to master any field, whether it takes you 10,000 hours or 10,000 plus, whatever it is, make it a goal. Make that smart goal to get better in every area of your life, whether it be personally, whether it be individually, or whether you're pushing a team to collectively get stronger and wiser in whatever they're doing. Remember that. It takes time and effort. Talent is a myth, and we assume greatness is born. But Gladwell research says greatness is built. And he pulls out such as music, the Mozart of the day, composing daily from age 5, world class, only after a decade of obsessive practice, hard work, beats natural talent when talent doesn't work hard. We all know Michael Jordan, a phenomenal basketball player. Some has called him the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Cut from his high school team, outworked everybody for the next 10 years. And now he's reached the greatness status in the level of playing basketball. We know Steve Jobs, business entrepreneur, great mind. He was tinkering, failing, iterating for 20 years before the iPhone moment. So you can't give up on your dream. You can't give up on your goal. You have to keep putting the time in, putting the hours in. You have to trust the process and trust the plan. And for me, I trust God in the midst of it all. So the evidence that we find when we read it, we find out that science says the same thing. Anders Ericsson, Berlin Academy of Music, elite violinist, 10K, the hours of practice. By age 20, became a top performer. Not 5,000, not 8,000, but 10,000. A clean line of separating elite from the average. Going back in, you got to take the time in. Mastery is forged in the dark when nobody is watching. Let's think about the Beatles in the singing industry. Many of us have heard of the Beatles. But before they became the group known as the Beatles, they put in the 8 hours a night, 7 nights a week, 270 plus live shows, 10,000 K plus stage hours. They weren't just discovered, they was forged. So what are we trying to say? Success is built on hard work. The principle shifts from focus, from seeking natural genius to valuing sustained effort and perseverance as the primary drivers of exceptional success. So if you're going to be a success, it takes time, it takes effort. Sometimes it takes blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes it goes on without anybody noticing you, being looked over. But you don't give up. You keep pushing because at the end of the road, at the appointed time, it will uncover. And the light that you've been flickering in the darkness will get stronger and come out front. So hang on in there. Don't quit. Don't throw in the towel. Keep going. So leadership lesson, build, don't just hire. So sometimes you got to stop searching for the perfect candidate because perfection in a person doesn't exist. The questions that matter, forget, let aside who's talented and start asking who is willing to put in the hours, who is willing to show up when it's hard, who practices until they can't get it wrong, till they keep going and going. I got to get better. Trust in the process. Great leaders develop outliers. And so we want to give back. We want to help those to get forward, to help those in our midst, and help those who follow us to get better, as well as we're getting better ourselves. And so a leadership framework for development is that leaders can use this concept to structure long-term growth in their organization or even in their personal life, encouraging teams to commit to deep, sustained skill building rather than quick fixes. Really, nothing happens overnight. Nothing sustainable happens overnight. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes practice. Be an outliner. Do your best. Give your best. Put the time in. Develop. Put the work in. The study habits in. Then move forward and see as God has something great inside of you that can be forged out of you to come out in a major way. The twist, hard work is the engine, opportunity is the fuel. Hard work is the engine. Opportunity is the fuel. Work hard plus access equals outlier. You hang on in there. You keep going, no matter what stage you are in your life. And our role as leaders, your role as a leader, my role as a leader, is to be a gatekeeper of opportunity, to mentor someone, to assign their harder challenge, to invest in training, build the next outlier. You never know who's coming behind you that can keep the torch going. So how do you do that? Let's cultivate a culture of persistence by championing the 10,000 hour rule. Leaders inspire resilience, normalize the learning curve, and motivate teams to persevere through challenges. Get better, keep going, outlast it, outmaneuver the pain, and you'll see great gain. So, what are you 10,000 hours away from? That's that question I want to leave with you as we encourage you to democratize potential, meaning don't limit it to certain people that you think is deserving of it, but be willing to share and see the best in people who may not be where you are yet, but yet see that potential. Help them bring out that potential. Identify and then invest, taking that dedication and time and slow commitment to build others over time. So I'm going to ask that question again. What are you 10,000 hours away from? Press on, pass it on, hard reps, build that team, assign harder challenges, push them to excellence, as well as push yourself. Comfort doesn't compound, stretch does. Invest in training. Opportunity is few. And my friends, you control the spigot. The clock starts now. Put your best foot forward. Put the time in. Every expert was once a beginner who refused to quit. Thank you for listening up. Thank you for listening in. Strengthen your leadership by strengthening someone else. Hold on to that thought. Until next time, keep your head up. You're on your way up.